Imagine a power unlike any other, a civilization stretching across continents. This was Rome at its zenith. For centuries, the Roman Empire stood as a beacon of power, wealth, and innovation. Its legions marched from the misty shores of Britain to the sun-baked deserts of the Middle East. Roman law, engineering, and culture left an indelible mark on the world. But even the mightiest of empires can crumble. Rome's decline was a slow, agonizing process. It was a death by 1,000 cuts, a gradual unraveling of the very fabric that held this mighty empire together. Overextension, economic woes, political instability, and relentless barbarian invasions all played a part in the empire's downfall. The story of Rome's fall is not just a history lesson. It is a reminder that power is fleeting and that even the greatest civilizations are built on foundations of sand. Rome's origins were humble, a small village on the banks of the Tiber River. But from these humble beginnings, a power would rise. Through conquest and cunning, Rome expanded its influence. First, it dominated the Italian peninsula. Then it turned its attention outward, conquering Carthage, Greece, and Gaul. By the 2nd century AD, the Roman Empire reached its peak under the reign of Emperor Trajan. From the Scottish Highlands to the Persian Gulf, the Roman eagle flew high. This was a golden age of peace and prosperity. Trade flourished, cities boomed, Roman legions maintained order on the frontiers. Trajan's reign marked the apogee of Roman power. His conquests brought wealth and glory to Rome, but they also planted the seeds of future troubles. Defending these borders required a massive military presence, draining the empire's coffers and manpower. Even as Rome reached the zenith of its power, cracks were beginning to appear in the empire's foundation. Decades of constant warfare had taken their toll. The Roman treasury was depleted. Inflation soared, eroding the purchasing power of Roman citizens. The once mighty legions were increasingly made up of foreign mercenaries, their loyalty to Rome questionable at best. The empire was plagued by corruption. Ambitious generals used their armies to seize power, plunging the empire into periods of civil war. The common people, burdened by taxes and inflation, grew disillusioned with the ruling class. The bonds that had once held the empire together were beginning to fray. The Roman economy, once the envy of the known world, was in a state of decline. The cost of maintaining a vast empire, coupled with rampant corruption and inflation, had created a fiscal crisis. A sense of apathy and pessimism settled over the empire. Beyond the empire's frontiers, new dangers lurked. To the north, across the Rhine and Danube rivers, lived Germanic tribes. These tribes, driven by pressure from the Huns in the east, began to exert increasing pressure on the Roman frontier. The Romans, weakened by internal strife and economic troubles, found it increasingly difficult to hold back the Barbarian Tide. The Huns, a nomadic people from the steppes of Central Asia, were a fearsome foe. Their horsemen, armed with bows and arrows, were masters of lightning raids. The Huns pushed westward, displacing Germanic tribes and putting pressure on the Roman frontier. For centuries, the Roman Empire had relied on its legions to defend its borders. But the legions, once the pride of Rome, were a shadow of their former selves. Decades of constant warfare had taken their toll. The ranks of the legions were increasingly filled with foreign mercenaries, their loyalty to Rome questionable. The relationship between the Romans and the barbarians was far more nuanced than a simple clash of civilizations. Section 5. A house divided. In a desperate attempt to stabilize the crumbling empire, Emperor Diocletian divided the Roman Empire in two. In 286 AD, he created the Tetrarchy, a system of rule by 4 emperors. 2 senior emperors, one in the west and one in the east, would share power with 2 junior emperors. The Tetrarchy was intended to improve administration and strengthen the empire's defenses. However, it ultimately proved to be a temporary solution. Constantine, who became emperor in 306 AD, made a fateful decision. He moved the capital of the Roman Empire from Rome to Byzantium, a strategically located city on the Bosporus Strait. He renamed the city Constantinople. This move effectively shifted the empire's center of gravity eastward towards the wealthier and more stable provinces of the east. The division of the Roman Empire into east and west was a watershed moment in Roman history. The Western Roman Empire, with its capital in Rome, would face mounting challenges from barbarian invasions and internal instability. The Eastern Roman Empire, centered in Constantinople, would prove to be more resilient, surviving for another 1,000 years as the Byzantine Empire. The seeds of division had been sown long before Diocletian and Constantine. Section 6. The Fall of the West. The Western Roman Empire, beset by internal decay and external pressure, entered a period of terminal decline. Barbarian tribes, no longer content to raid Roman territory, began to carve out their own kingdoms within the empire's borders. The Visigoths, the Vandals, the Franks and other Germanic tribes established their own kingdoms in Gaul, Spain and North Africa. In 410 AD, the Visigoths, led by Alaric, sacked the city of Rome. It was a symbolic event, a stark reminder of the Western Roman Empire's fading power. The once mighty city, which had for centuries stood as a symbol of Roman invincibility, had been humbled. The sack of Rome sent shockwaves through the empire, signaling to the world that the Roman Empire was no longer invincible. The final blow came in 476 AD when Odoacer, a Germanic general, deposed Romulus Augustulus, the last Western Roman emperor. Odoacer sent the imperial regalia to Constantinople, signifying the end of the Western Roman Empire. The Roman Empire, once a beacon of civilization, had succumbed to the forces of history. Section 7. The Legacy of Rome. The fall of the Western Roman Empire marked the beginning of the Middle Ages in Europe. Yet even in its demise, the Roman Empire left an indelible mark on the world. Roman law, language, engineering and architecture continued to influence Western civilization for centuries to come. The Eastern Roman Empire, centered in Constantinople, survived the fall of its Western counterpart. The Byzantine Empire would preserve many aspects of Roman culture and law for another 1,000 years. The legacy of Rome is all around us. Our language, laws, government and architecture all bear the imprint of Roman influence. The fall of the Roman Empire is a reminder that even the greatest civilizations are not immune to the forces of history. Section 8. A Universe of Empires. We have journeyed across time and space to witness the rise and fall of a mighty empire. The Roman Empire, like all empires before and after it, was born, it flourished, and it eventually met its demise. The story of Rome is a microcosm of the human story itself, a tale of ambition, power, and the fleeting nature of even the grandest of civilizations. As we gaze out at the vastness of the cosmos, we are reminded that our planet is but a tiny speck in a universe teeming with billions upon billions of stars and planets. It is entirely possible, indeed probable, that other civilizations, perhaps even greater than our own, have risen and fallen on distant worlds, their stories lost to the vastness of space and time. The rise and fall of empires is a recurring theme throughout history, from the Akkadian Empire of Mesopotamia to the Mongol Empire of Genghis Khan. History is replete with examples of civilizations that rose to prominence only to eventually crumble and fade away. By learning from the past, we can hope to build a better future for ourselves and for generations to come.